Let me just start by saying, I've always known where I stood in the family hierarchy. There's the chandelier. That's my brother Caleb. Bright, shiny, high maintenance, and absolutely useless during a power outage. Then there's the light bulb in the hallway no one bothers to replace. That's me. Growing up, I was the quiet one, which in our family was code for doesn't cause a scene when ignored. Caleb, on the other hand, could blink twice and my parents would throw him a party. He failed math in 7th grade? They hired a private tutor and bought him a new laptop to help him focus. I got a B+ in physics? They asked why it wasn't an A, classic. But I didn't mind, at least not at first. I was used to being the background noise in my own house. While Caleb posted gym selfies with hashtags like #RiseAndGrind and #CUInTraining, I was working part-time as a line cook, saving every dollar I could. My car? A dented silver Camry I'd rebuilt with a buddy from trade school. It wasn't pretty, but it ran, and more importantly, I paid for every bolt on that thing myself. So yeah, I wasn't flashy. But I was stable. Quiet. Boring, maybe? But steady. Until the call came. It was a Tuesday night, I remember, the kind of evening where leftover pasta feels like a luxury. I'd just clocked out and was halfway through a reheated meatball when Dad called. "Hey, kiddo," he said, his voice all fake sunshine. That alone should have warned me. "What's up?" I asked, already bracing myself. "It's about Caleb," he said. "He's hit a little financial bump." A bump? This man had blown through $3,000 on sneakers, concert tickets, and something called crypto coaching. I know because I saw the statement later. One charge literally just said, "VIP club, no refunds." Dad cleared his throat. "Anyway, he's got a credit card bill due, and interest is piling up. We were thinking, you could help him out." "Help him out how?" I asked, playing dumb. "You've got savings, right?" I nearly choked on my meatball. "You want me to pay his $3,000 credit card bill?" Dad sighed, like I was the difficult one. "It's just until he gets back on his feet. Family supports family." "Oh, now we're doing that," I said. "Family supports family?" "Because last I checked, when I needed new tires, you told me to walk more for cardio." "That was different," he snapped. "You're more responsible. You'll recover quicker." Responsible. That's what they called me when they wanted me to bail out the Titanic after it hit the iceberg. I told him no. Calmly. Politely. "No? Just like that?" he said, stunned. "Just like that." He hung up without saying goodbye. 2 days later, Mom called. I thought maybe she'd try the nice route. She didn't. "Why are you being so cold?" she asked, voice tight with judgment. "It's just money." I laughed. "Then give him yours." "Don't be rude," she snapped. "He's your brother." "Yes. My adult brother. With a gym membership more expensive than my rent." She hung up too. And for a moment I thought maybe that was it. That they'd just be disappointed for a few weeks and go back to pretending I didn't exist. I was wrong. That Saturday, we had family dinner. I showed up out of habit. Roast chicken, awkward silences, Caleb showing off a new gold watch like it came free in a cereal box. Midway through dessert, which, ironically, was my favorite peach cobbler, Dad casually said, "Caleb's car is out of commission. We were thinking, maybe he could use yours for a while." I put my fork down. "Excuse me? It's not forever," Mom added quickly. "Just until he figures things out." "You want me to give him my car?" "It's just sitting outside," Caleb said with a shrug, like my property was some neighborhood bike we all took turns on. "I mean, you barely drive it." I stood up. "I drive it every day." Dad sighed. "This is exactly what I meant. You always make things about yourself." "No," I said. "You do." I just stopped pretending it doesn't bother me. The silence after that was deafening. They called me selfish. Ungrateful. Told me I was tearing the family apart over a couple grand and a used car. And then, just like that, I was out. No dramatic exit. No bags thrown out the window. Just a cold sentence from Dad. Maybe you should take some time away from this house until you remember what family means. That night I slept in my car. The same car they said Caleb should have. That first night in the car was a lot of things, cramped, freezing, and exactly as humiliating as you'd expect. I had one hoodie, 2 fast food napkins I used as a pillow, and a dashboard that wouldn't stop blinking. Maintenance required. Same. I parked outside a 24-hour diner I used to clean floors for when I was 16. Somehow, sleeping there felt full circle. I'd worked so hard to get out of places like that, only to end up slouched in the driver's seat like a sitcom punchline. The next morning, I went back to work like nothing happened. I didn't want pity. My coworkers asked if I was tired. I joked that I was becoming one with the grind. They laughed. I didn't. For the next few weeks, I lived like a ghost with a key. The Camry became my home. Showers happened at the gym. Laundry at a coin-op that smelled like burnt popcorn. Meals? Whatever I could heat in a microwave or eat cold out of a can. I never reached out. And neither did they. No. How are you? No. Do you need anything? Just radio silence. Which would have been fine, except I started hearing things. Caleb posted a video titled, "Haters Gonna Hate, Family Should Support You Anyway." That got like 11 views and one weird comment from someone named Jim Goblin 88. In it, he said some family members cut him off out of jealousy and weren't built for success like him. Yeah. Okay, buddy. Enjoy your protein shakes paid for by other people's guilt. It stung more than I'd admit. Not because I wanted his approval, but because I kept hoping, maybe naively, that one of them would snap out of it. That someone would remember I wasn't the villain in this. But they picked their favorite. And I was disposable. Around month 2 of car life, my manager pulled me aside. "Eli," he said, "are you okay?" I froze. Thought I'd played it cool enough. He handed me an envelope. "You've been working open to close 6 days a week. Haven't missed a shift. That's more than dependable." That's desperate. Inside the envelope was a check. Not a bonus, a loan, interest-free. I didn't cry in front of him. But when I got back in the car and saw the amount, I'll be honest. I sat there, forehead on the wheel, and sobbed. That check got me into a tiny studio apartment above a laundromat. You could hear the dryers running all night and my front door stuck every time it rained. But it was mine. A mattress on the floor felt like luxury after weeks of pretending my seatbelt buckle wasn't jabbing into my ribs. From there, things got a little better. I picked up freelance side gigs fixing appliances and odd jobs on weekends. I had no time for hobbies. No energy for anything except working, eating, and occasionally breathing. But I was building something. Quietly. Slowly. Meanwhile, Caleb was, shocker, still tanking. I didn't know the details, but from the occasional messy post or vague tweet, I gathered he was on job number 3 since I left. All short-lived. All not a good fit. One of them ended when he showed up late to an interview in a muscle tee. And my parents? They never reached out. Not when I got a promotion. Not when I moved into a better apartment. Not when I bought my first toolbox with my name engraved, something stupidly sentimental I dreamed of since high school. They said nothing. Until one day they did. It started with a phone call from an unknown number. I usually ignored those, but something made me answer. "Hello?" There was a pause. Then my mom's voice. Quiet. Nervous. "Eli?" I didn't say anything. I know it's been a while. No kidding. She cleared her throat. "Your father and we were wondering if you could come by this weekend." "Why?" "We just want to talk." I didn't agree. I didn't decline. I just hung up. 3 days later, I got a text from Dad. "You're being immature. This is your family." And another from Caleb. "Real mature, bro. You've had your little tantrum. Time to grow up." I stared at the screen and shook my head. They hadn't changed. But I had. I was just getting started. I didn't text back. Not because I was trying to play some dramatic long game, but because I genuinely had nothing to say. After everything, the guilt-tripping, the gaslighting, the freezing silence, they still thought I was the problem? They wanted brunch like we were some mildly dysfunctional sitcom family. Like I hadn't been kicked out of my life over sneaker debt. But a week later, curiosity got the better of me. And my appetite, if I'm being honest. So I agreed to meet them, neutral territory. A small cafe in the middle of town. The kind of place that served tiny pancakes stacked like Jenga blocks and charged extra for emotional labor, in the form of oat and milk. I walked in, and there they were. Mom waved like I was coming home from war. Dad gave me a stiff nod. Caleb was already halfway through his avocado toast and didn't even look up. Eli, Mom said, standing to hug me. I hesitated. Then let her. Mostly because the waitress was watching, and I didn't want to cause a scene before I got my overpriced latte. We sat. For a moment, no one said anything. Then Mom spoke. We're so glad you came. Aren't we? She elbowed Dad. He grunted. What's this about? I asked. She folded her hands like she was in a prayer circle. We just want things back the way they were. I blinked. You mean when I was being used as an ATM and a free Uber? Eli, Dad said sharply. No, really, I continued. Let's reminisce. Was it before or after you threw me out into the street for not donating my car to the Caleb Foundation for failing upwards? Caleb finally looked up. Dude, why are you still so bitter? I actually laughed. Maybe because I had to sleep in that same car for weeks while you posted gym selfies and motivational quotes you stole from The Rock? Mom cleared her throat. Let's not fight. That's not why we asked you here. Oh? I said, sipping my coffee. Then do tell. Dad leaned forward. Caleb's going through a tough time. Of course. He always was. His credit's shot. He's having trouble getting approved for a car loan. He has interviews lined up, but no way to get there. And we thought maybe you could help. There it was. The ask? Again. But this time, they weren't even trying to hide it behind pretty words. This wasn't about reconnecting. This was about convenience. They needed something. I already helped, I said calmly. I helped by not bailing him out. Maybe now he'll learn. That's harsh, Mom whispered. No, I replied. What's harsh is pretending I didn't exist for a year and then calling it a reconciliation brunch. Dad looked irritated. You've changed. Yeah, I said. I stopped apologizing for not being a doormat. Caleb rolled his eyes. Forget it, Mom. He thinks he's better than us now. I stood up. Dropped a 10 on the table for the coffee. Not better, I said. Just done. I left before they could respond. Did I feel guilty? A little. The kind of guilt that flares up when you go against everything you were raised to believe. Family first. Always give, never make waves. But that guilt faded fast when I remembered something. They never felt guilty for what they did to me. That night I got a text from Mom. You really hurt your brother. He's struggling. Then another. We just wanted to give him a chance. And another. You don't understand. Caleb's had it hard too. I didn't reply. Instead, I put my phone on silent and opened my laptop. Because while they were busy dragging me back into the past, I was already 2 months into something that might just change everything. I was building something. And they had no idea. Let me rewind a bit, to a month before that weird apology brunch. While they were radio silent, and Caleb was busy calling himself an entrepreneur in exile. On Instagram, I was quietly doing something that felt suspiciously like building a life. See, I'd always been good at fixing things. Not the poetic kind of fixing, like healing hearts or mending broken relationships. No, I mean literal stuff. Dishwashers, HVAC units, garage doors, even a ceiling fan once that tried to decapitate its owner. I liked the simplicity of it. Tools and broken thing, tools out, fixed thing. So when I moved into that creaky apartment above the laundromat, I started helping the tenants with random repairs for $20 and a six-pack. You'd be shocked how much goodwill you can earn by making someone's dryer stop screaming like it's possessed. Word spread. First it was a neighbor's garbage disposal. Then a friend of that neighbor's cousin had a thermostat issue. One guy even hired me to check his water heater and ended up asking if I could help hang shelves. I did, and even leveled them with a laser level. Classy. The real turning point came when I replaced an entire water heater for someone whose landlord ghosted them for a week. I didn't even know what I was doing at first, just followed a 6-hour tutorial and somehow didn't explode. They paid me $300. In cash. That single moment of sweaty, pipe wrench glory made me sit up straight for the first time in months. If people were going to pay for honest work, and I had honest hands, what was I waiting for? So I filed a business name. Eli Fixes Things. Straightforward. Corny. But mine. I bought a used white van that looked like it had been in at least 3 midlife crises. Its left mirror shook when you sneezed, and it smelled permanently of old garlic. But it ran. I spent half a night cleaning it, then slapped on a magnetic sign. Eli Fixes Things, no gimmicks. Just wrenches. Printed flyers with tear-off tabs like it was 2006 again. Left them at hardware stores, gas stations, laundromats, basically anywhere that didn't chase me out. Even taped one to the window of the diner where I used to mop floors for $7.25 an hour. And then? Jobs started rolling in. I was fixing ovens at 7 a.m., patching drywall at noon, unclogging toilets at 9 p.m., and collapsing into bed with my shirt still smelling like WD-40. Some nights I'd ice my back with frozen peas because I couldn't afford a proper massage. Other nights I'd fall asleep googling torque specs. But every hour, every busted pipe, loose hinge, and overloaded circuit was mine. I was tired. I was sore. I was thriving. 3 months in, I hit a milestone, $10,000 in revenue. 10,000. From literal duct tape and determination. I took some of it and bought a rolling tool chest I'd been drooling over online for years. Bright red, with soft closed drawers and a built-in charger. And on the top? A brushed steel nameplate that read, E. Walker. I stared at it for a long time when it arrived. Ran my fingers over the name. Not Caleb's brother. Not the disappointment. Just me. That same week, I got a text from a property manager I'd done HVAC work for. He said they had a commercial job opening up, and if I wanted, they'd list me as the preferred vendor. I said yes, obviously. What I didn't realize, not until weeks later, was that the job was in the same building where Caleb had tried, and failed, to get hired twice. Yup. While he was tweeting about haters and grindset mindset, I was literally in the basement fixing their central air. He never saw me. But I saw the security footage. Perks of installing their new camera system. I watched him walk into the lobby in a blazer that still had the tag sticking out the back. He stood at reception, trying to charm the front desk. She didn't even buzz him in. And me? I was behind the walls, swapping filters and making $90 an hour. I didn't say a word. Didn't brag. Didn't post. Because I wasn't done building. Not yet. It started with one word. Hey. The text came on a Thursday afternoon. I was standing in a crawl space, forehead slick with sweat, holding a flashlight between my teeth while wrestling with a corroded pipe. The message was from Caleb. Not Mom. Not Dad. Caleb. The same guy who once asked me if HVAC was just cleaning vents with a fancy vacuum. The same guy who rolled his eyes when I said no to giving him my car. The same guy who, as far as I knew, still hadn't held down a job for longer than a banana stays ripe. I wiped my hands on my work jeans, stared at the screen, and typed back. What's up? He replied instantly. Like he'd been waiting. Can we talk? It's important. I wasn't sure what I expected. Maybe a grovel? Maybe another. Family supports family. Guilt trip? What I got was a mess. We met at the same cafe where the apology brunch had flopped. This time, Caleb wasn't in a blazer. He was in sweats and beat-up sneakers. No watch. No smug smirk. Just dark circles under his eyes and a twitchy knee that didn't stop bouncing the whole time. "Look," he said, not even waiting for me to sit. "I'm sorry. Okay? I know I was a jerk." My eyebrows did that automatic sarcastic lift. "You think?" he groaned. "Don't make me grovel. I'm already humiliated enough. That's a weird way to start an apology." He looked around the cafe like someone might overhear, then leaned in. "I'm in trouble." There it was. I said nothing. He kept going. "I lost my last gig. Again. My credit score's like in the negatives. I'm behind on rent. And Mom and Dad, they're maxed out. They said they can't help anymore." "Wait," I said, blinking. "They told you no?" "Yeah," he said bitterly. "Said they're stretched too thin. And then they mentioned you. Said maybe you could help, now that you're so stable." I almost choked on my coffee. "Oh wow," I said. "So now I'm the stable one?" "Dude," he whispered. "I wouldn't be here if I wasn't desperate. I can't afford gas. My roommate's threatening to kick me out. Should have taken my car when you had the chance," I said without missing a beat. He winced. "I know I screwed up, okay? But I figured maybe you'd have a job? I can do stuff. I can lift things. Move stuff. You said you had your own thing now, right?" I stared at him. For a long moment, I considered it. Part of me, the younger version, the one that used to crave his approval, wanted to say yes. But the current me? He remembered everything. The laughter. The insults. The silence. The fact that this apology was sandwiched between "I'm desperate" and "Can I get a job?" I sipped my drink slowly. "I don't hire family," I said at last. His face fell. "You're serious?" I nodded. "Look, I hope things turn around for you. But this isn't a charity. It's a business. And right now..." "You're not exactly a glowing reference." He looked like I'd slapped him. "But you're my brother." "You're right," I said. "I am. And when I needed a place to sleep, you said I was being dramatic. When I got kicked out, you posted gym selfies. That was different." "No," I cut in. "It wasn't. You just didn't care until it hurt you too." He didn't argue. He just looked at me. Not angry. Not smug. Just tired. Then he stood up, nodded stiffly, and walked out. I didn't follow him. Because I had a job to finish. A real client is waiting. A business to run. And because the truth was, I had already helped him. I showed him what it looked like to take responsibility. Now it was his turn. A week after I turned Caleb down, things got quiet again. Not just normal quiet, strategic quiet. That eerie kind of silence where you know someone's cooking up another family plan, and you're about to be the unwilling ingredient. Then came the voicemail. It was from Mom. Her voice sounded shaky, but not in the "I miss you, son" way. No, this was full on. Emergency mode Mom. The one who used to panic when someone forgot to thaw the turkey on Thanksgiving morning. "Eli, I know you're probably still upset. But we have a situation. Please call back." I didn't. 20 minutes later, another one. "Please. It's about the house." Now that got my attention. See, my parents live in a 2-story colonial-style home with a roof older than Caleb's ambition. I'd warned them last year about a growing patch of rot I noticed when I was grabbing my last box from the attic. "Roof's leaking," I told Dad. "Could cause serious water damage if you don't patch it." He scoffed. "You watch too much DIY TV." Right. Turns out water doesn't care about your ego, or your preference for ignoring your handyman son. I finally texted back. "What happened?" Within minutes, the phone rang. Mom picked up. No small talk. "Eli." The ceiling collapsed in the upstairs hallway. Water damage. Mold. And your father slipped on the wet carpet trying to check the fuse box. I raised an eyebrow. "Is he okay?" "He's bruised. But the bigger issue is, we need help. The insurance isn't covering it. They said it was preventable damage. Which, let's be honest, it was. And the contractor quoted us nearly $10,000. She said, "We just don't have that kind of money right now." Ah. There it was. "So," I said flatly, "you're calling me because I warned you a year ago, and you ignored me, but now you want me to fix it, for free?" Silence. Then, "We thought maybe you'd want to help your family. You know. Be the bigger person." I let that hang in the air for a moment. "Funny," I said. "When I was living in my car, the only thing you offered me was attitude. We didn't mean to. I asked you to hear me out back then. You told me to leave. You said I needed to grow up. So I did. And growing up means saying no when I'm being used." Another pause. Then Dad's voice came on in the background. Loud. Frustrated. "If he doesn't want to help, fine. We'll figure it out ourselves." To which I responded very calmly, "Please do." I hung up. Now let me be clear. I didn't hang up because I didn't care. I did. It's hard not to. It's your childhood home. It's your dad, even if he treated you like the spare son with backup organs. But I'd spent the last year learning something they never taught me growing up. Love doesn't mean sacrificing your boundaries. Still, I wasn't completely heartless. The next day, I called a trusted roofing guy I'd partnered with on some apartment jobs. Gave him the address. Told him to go give a quote, the real one, and offer a payment plan if they needed it. "I'm not doing charity," I said. "But if they want to pay someone fair and honest, send me the invoice. I'll make sure no one gets ripped off." He agreed. 2 days later, he texted me. They didn't want the quote. Said they had someone else cheaper. Sketchy guy with no license. I just shook my head. It was always the same with them. Cut corners. Expect miracles. Blame the one person who told them the truth. But I wasn't mad. Because something else had happened that same day. Something that changed everything. My business had just landed a new client, a mid-sized property management firm. They'd seen my work on a duplex I'd renovated, liked the photos, checked my reviews, and wanted a quote for ongoing service. We met. Talked numbers. Shook hands. And as I signed the contract, the manager said, "You'll be working on about 6 buildings to start. One of them's over on Westbrook Street. Little rundown house, water damage on the roof." I blinked. "Wait, Westbrook Street?" He smiled. "Yeah. The couple just sold it to avoid repair costs. The bank took over. Now we're turning it into a rental." I stared at him. Because I knew that address. It was my parents' house. I sat in my van, parked 3 houses down from Westbrook Street, just staring. Same cracked driveway. Same faded green shutters. The hydrangeas Mom used to obsess over? Brown, wilted. The mailbox was barely holding on by a screw, kind of like the family who used to live there. They'd really sold it. After all that pride. After calling me selfish, dramatic, ungrateful, they handed the house over to the bank to avoid the bill I warned them about a year ago. I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel victorious. I felt weirdly peaceful. Like some cosmic janitor had come in overnight and swept up years of emotional clutter. All I had to do now was renovate it. Because yeah, the firm I signed with wanted me to handle the repairs on that property. Me. The one who wasn't responsible enough to own a house. The one they kicked out with nothing but a backpack and car keys. I told the firm I'd inspect the site myself. The lockbox code they gave me clicked open easy. The front door creaked exactly the same way it used to when I'd sneak out after curfew. The air smelled like mildew, dust, and faintly, the kind of regret that lingers in the walls of places people abandon in a hurry. I walked through the hallway. Stepped over the peeling laminate. Past the living room where Caleb once told me I'd never be successful because I like tools too much. In the kitchen, I stood in the same spot where my dad once told me, "You're not management material. You're just labor." Now, that labor was in charge of gutting the house. I took photos of the damage: warped ceiling panels, black mold along the corners, soft flooring in the hallway. The rot had spread deeper than I thought. Insurance wasn't going to cover a dime of it. Honestly? They'd been lucky to get out when they did. But then came the twist. 2 days later, my phone rang again. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. It was Mom. Eli, we didn't know. We didn't know you were involved with that company. The real estate agent never mentioned you. Please call me. Your father he's devastated. I played it twice. Just to hear that word again. Devastated. A few hours later, another call. This time from Caleb. Dude! What the hell? You're working for the company that bought our house. You're renovating it? Are you trying to humiliate us? I didn't answer. Instead, I did what I do best. I showed up. Quietly. Professionally. With a clipboard and a crew. We got to work. Over the next few weeks, I pulled out the old tile, scrubbed the mold, reinforced the attic beams, replaced the insulation, and gave the house new life. Clean. Functional. Beautiful, even. No memories. No guilt. Just a fresh space for some new family, one that wouldn't throw out their kid for not financing someone else's mess. When we finished the job, I took one last walk through the house before handing it off to the property firm. It didn't feel like home. It didn't feel like a win. It just felt done. Like closure in drywall form. Then, on a quiet Sunday morning, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text. From Dad. Just 2 words. We're sorry. That's it. No long message. No explanation. No offer to meet or talk or repair. And honestly, that was enough. Because the next day, I got a call from the firm's regional director. Eli, your work at Westbrook was fantastic. We've got more units coming online. Bigger ones. You interested? You already know what I said. Because while they were still trying to figure out how they lost everything, I was already building the next thing. 6 months later, I got an envelope in the mail. Plain. No return address. Just my name in careful, tight handwriting I hadn't seen in a while. Inside? A card. No glitter. No long-winded message. Just a plain white card with the words, "We miss you." Underneath, in smaller writing, "Caleb's been staying with us. We're trying to get back on our feet. The apartment's small. The heater's busted. But we're managing. Hope you're doing okay." That was it. No ask. No complaint. No guilt trip. And for once, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel like I owed them anything. Because by then, I wasn't just doing okay. I had 3 trucks on the road, 2 full-time crews, and a new office space with my name on the lease. I had clients who trusted me. A business I built from rust and rejection. And every time someone handed me a check, every time I heard, "Thank you, Eli, you saved us," I thought back to that night in the driveway. To my dad's voice saying, "You're selfish. Get out." Turns out, walking away was the best thing I ever did. Because sometimes, building your own life means leaving the people who never bothered to help build you. Still, I decided to reply. One last time. I mailed them an envelope with no return address. Inside? One thing. A copy of the final invoice for their old house. Labeled, "Client, Westbrook Street Renovation. Lead contractor, Eli Walker. Balance paid in full." And beneath that I wrote just one line. "The house got a second chance. So did I." Then I sealed it. And went back to work. Because I wasn't interested in revenge. I was too busy winning.